Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Fringe Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Lorimer, today joined by Sara Gon. Today, we're going to have a very law and order focused episode talking about three different stories around the country, which all have a similar theme of chaos, disorder, and people who need to be facing the law. The first one is from the Ngoma local municipality in KZN. This is a municipality that occasionally comes into the news, mostly for municipal dysfunction, assassinations carried out between various political rivals. It's not a well-run place. And adding a bit of a clue as to why the place is not particularly well-run, this week, in the magistrates' court on corruption charges appeared the mayor of the municipality, who's from the National Freedom Party, his deputy, who is from the EFF, and the Speaker of Council, who is from the ANC. The three parties here hold the municipality in coalition together. They appeared on 57 counts of corruption, amounting to approximately 800,000 rand, relating to an allegedly fraudulent tender for services to the municipality, said the National Prosecuting Authority. The mayor who's accused here was also in the news. Actually, I think we talked about him even on the show a little while ago when his predecessor, who's in the IFP, was forced to hand over the municipal cars to him after much grumbling. He then proceeded to use them to go on a drive through the villages of KZN, allegedly, to celebrate his basically a convoy to celebrate his election as mayor. And some officials claimed that he then used municipal funds and resources to host his birthday party. In fact, they even printed municipal posters bearing the words, quote, "Mayor's birthday celebration." Sara, what do you make of this story? I mean, you know, this municipality is just one of those ones which seems just sort of so hopeless that it's kind of difficult to sort of, and you'd think the political competition would make it better run. That often happens, particularly in the bigger municipalities. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be working out.
Well, it sort of makes sense. You know, it's the ANC and two of its breakaways. So it's the ANC plus the ANC plus the ANC in effect. And as you say, it's a municipality that's dogged with all the worst aspects of municipal corruption and crime and assassinations. So it's not entirely a surprise, shall we say. But what it does is sort of gives some basis to my feeling that, you know, in a way, it's all very well having the big boys prosecuted by the NPA, the guys who've got the money to kick things into touch and to defend themselves to the nth degree and make really make a meal of it. We'll talk about that. But I wonder whether, if you want to have an effect on the epidemic of corruption in this country, whether you don't have to, in fact, prosecute and successfully convict in jail the sort of the middle guys, the municipal levels, you know, the guys who aren't important enough to be protected at the end of the day. You know, they just, and they won't actually have the resources to fight these things to the death, provided, of course, that the cases are properly investigated and you know, the evidence presented in court. But I think these are the sort of people that the NPA should be going for. That it's probably simpler, quicker, and it's about sending messages to communities. And, you know, of course, leadership makes a difference, but, you know, if you can't get them, I think the message at the ground level, so to speak, might be well worth it.
Yes, this is one of those municipalities that's very tightly fought. In the last municipal government elections, the IFP got 47% of the vote, the National Freedom Party got about 30%, the ANC about 17%, and the EFF about 4%. And then the three smaller parties formed a coalition together to take control of the municipality. It is just kind of shocking that this has continued to go on. I was actually just went to double check that I was correct about Ngoma being the center of so many of the political killings. And of course, typing it into Google now, I just checked, and you know, first thing that comes up was a story from, I remember covering it on the show. I think something like 80% of the councillors in the municipality at one point were in hiding under fear of assassination. So I agree with you. It's definitely an urgent need to start prosecuting these middle rank guys to just kind of clear out the corruption there. There is nothing that you can do to fix a municipality that has that level of violence, intimidation, and criminality in it until some people go to jail and people feel a bit like the law has been restored, I think. On the same theme, a chief financial officer in the education department of the Eastern Cape shared with News 24 her a death threat shared with her, given to her, apparently for work she's been doing in the municipal department there. Sorry, in the education department there. She got a number of. She recorded a conversation with a man who said that he was a hitman who had been given instructions to kill her, and basically told her that it was important for her to stop doing what she was doing at work, resign from her position, or else she and her children would soon be killed. The hitman said, quote, and this is from the recording, "There are people who are not happy with your conduct at work. They want to hurt you because you have also hurt them. I've been shown your 2 children, your house in Stutterheim, as well as your picture. I also know your car that you're using for traveling. So resign. I have been chosen to kill you because I know you. If you continue doing what you're doing at your workplace, you might be dead by the end of 2024. I've been ordered by the people who are working with first to kill your children," said the hitman. He apparently was identified in the call as Brother Zuko or Puti Zuko, but it's not clear entirely who this guy is. A case has been opened with the police to look into this, but sorry, it really seems like violence, political killings, things related to sort of organized crime, that violence is spreading in a big way to the Eastern Cape. We've seen a number of sort of mass shootings in the Eastern Cape recently, and not all of them are connected to government or that sort of thing, but it really seems as though the sort of culture of political assassinations is definitely broken out of KZN into other parts of the country.
I think this very much ties into our previous story, and that's the sense that, we know that South Africa is lawless. Our leaders have led the way. Murders, business in South Africa. And I think it goes to, again, highlight that more, if action needs to be taken at community level, it's also about sending a message to communities, first of all, that if they do cooperate in whatever way, the police will actually do something, the prosecutors will gather the necessary evidence. And you start, it's a slow process, but it's a little bit of the sort of broken windows. Clear it out there. I mean, we know with things like the construction mafias and the guys who force you to pay security for businesses, it's terrifying, and there's a culture of it, and almost a culture of acceptance. That's how business is done in South Africa, and that's probably why you have to really root those out. I have very little doubt that what she's probably been involved in is fingering a couple of her, shall we say, less law-abiding colleagues, and they want her out of the way. And, at some point, I think a strategy really has to be looked at to deal with things very much at the community level, even perhaps at the expense of fewer, big names, if that helps to manage the caseload.
And definitely, I mean, there is clearly a sense that the police won't protect you or can't protect you. So in this case, I think it's actually kind of rare that we've had a sort of a death threat issued to someone in a senior position in government, and then that actually reaching the police and the public and the media. I think very often these things just aren't reported because people don't believe that the police will actually protect them. And that's why it's crucial toward, as you say, to kind of restoring that belief that the authorities will actually do something for you, that you're not on your own. Yeah. Well, speaking of the big names, the third story, of course, on this law and order thing we're talking about today is Jacob Zuma, who has, he's been dodging court dates for years with his famous Stalingrad legal strategy, where absolutely everything that can be challenged legally, or sometimes even if it can't be challenged legally, gets sent to court. And he's managed to delay his trials for many, many years because of that. In response to his Stalingrad strategy, the National Prosecuting Authority has urged his corruption trial judge to end his, quote, serial abuse of the courts by running the former president's trial regardless of his latest efforts to force the prosecutor's removal. In his most recent sort of legal wranglings, Zuma has, I think he tried to privately prosecute the prosecution that was that was given his case. He tried to get the guy kicked off the court, the prosecutor kicked out of the trial, and a new one appointed. Just sort of endless reasons. And sorry, look, I'm not a lawyer, I don't have any sort of legal background, but surely there comes a point where judges can sort of say, yeah, you're just taking chances now. This is not exercising your rights to justice. This is gumming up the system. What do you make of this?
It's sort of vexatious, and it's so obvious. And Zuma is the one person I would like to see pursued more than any other, not because 20 years ago the charges against him were big. Now they're not. They pale compared to a whole lot of others. But let's be honest. The man is a chauvinist, and he more than anyone set the path of ruin for this country's economy. He enabled the Guptas. It was really his looking after number one and sort of hiding it behind the fig leaf of, being the loyal son of the ANC. And now, he wants to challenge the ANC for getting rid of him because he started an opposition party, because you can never leave the ANC. That is just, I think we've got to be prepared to take whatever Zuma tries to throw, and in the court context, it's got to be stopped on the basis that it is vexatious, and also just from the point of view of if the case goes ahead, which it's meant to go ahead in April, I'm prepared to put money on this show that we'll see some witnesses disappearing, if they aren't in fact dead just because of old age at this stage. But be that as it may. His running a party to partly protect his own interests by being untouchable is scandalous. He's got to be disposed of, so to speak, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah. I think he also provides a great example of why going after middle rank people might sometimes be more effective in just getting some people taken away. It's because he has these resources to endlessly fight battles, and that's true of a lot of the most powerful people who are corrupt. Is that they have, even if their political protection is removed, they often have the sort of the financial resources and the access to lawyers and all that sort of thing that will allow them to fight these things and grind the process down. There's a lot of countries in the world which are not great. I'm thinking of places like sort of China and Vietnam, where the highest ranks may be protected from corruption charges, but the middle ranks are often prosecuted and sent away if they are messing around with public funds. And I think it's not the end goal of where we should be aiming for. Everyone who commits corruption should go to jail for it, but we can at least sort of start the process maybe somewhere. You have to eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Exactly, and I think a gauntlet needs to be thrown down, because I've seen commentators say recently that he knows where the skeletons are buried. Well, that might have been scary 20, 30 years ago, but right now, I don't think, if he had any skeletons that we don't know, or info on other people that we don't really know about, I very much doubt we'd be shocked by anything he said. So let's okay, go ahead, reveal what you know. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think that's also been part of his defense, is to try and scare everyone else in power, in the ANC in particular, to saying, "Oh, I've got the dirt on all of you." Well, I'm pretty sure that the dirt is not going to be that spectacular. And even if it is, I'm sure there's some people who probably, like you say, it's probably a little bit out of date, some of it. He is in many ways the skeleton in the closet who is yet to be dealt with. As you say, he's been at the center of just so much rot in state institutions. It really does feel like it's time for him to go and properly face his day in court. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you found the show interesting. That's a wrap. The Daily Friend Show and The Daily Friend are a project of the Institute of Race Relations, the IRR. The IRR is a think tank which was founded in 1929 to study race relations in South Africa and works to change government policy to improve race relations through non-racialism and to ensure the prosperity of all South Africans. If you like our work and would like to support us, please go to irr.org.za and click Support the IRR, or you can go to thedailyfriend.co.za and click the Fund Us button.